We know what the solution is. We're striving towards it. That is the solution. Christianity doesn't have a solution. Instead, the solution it has is one about what? That you let the adulteress go free.
But it has to, if you go to the Vatican, for instance, right, which is a city...
Right. Camille, just want to answer the Heckler's point. An adulterous woman came. Adulterous woman came, right? People brought her to be punished. Guess what Christ did? There was a law that was beforehand. If anyone commits adultery, you should stone her to death, right? Okay. So what did Christ do? As a judge, as a man appointed on earth to implement God's law, did he implement the law that was given by God earlier? Did he stone her to death? Did he implement the laws of God? Christ came with the law of God. Christ came to say, "Oh our Lord, who are..."
Christ came here to free us from
Camille,
the sin.
do you remember? I'm not speaking to him now, I'm speaking to you. Do you remember Lord's Prayer? Your kingdom come. Thine will be done. Thine will be done. The will of God to be done. Where? On earth. Right. So Christ, if he's here as a representative of God, whether as a prophet, a warner, or a messenger,
he's here as God on earth, not representative.
He needs to implement the law when a crime is committed. Imagine now, okay, imagine God, I want you to have a thought experiment. Come this way. No, I'm not talking to him. Camille, I'm not speaking to him. Camille, if you find it's distracting, you need to tell him off. Tell him off if it's distracting. If God came on earth, brother, 1 second. Try to understand one thing. Imagine God in a certain belief system came on earth and there were crimes being committed. Camille, are you going to be dictated by your conversation?
Should we time it 2 minutes?
Camille, are you going to be dictated?
Yeah, go.
Okay,
Thank you. I think it's right time you tell him off not to interfere with your discussion.
I think it's right time that we tell you off, Mansur. We're talking too much. Keep quiet for a second.
If it's distracting, we can have another time. Right. So the scenario I am illustrating, if God came on earth in a belief system and there are crimes being committed, crimes of murder, rape, and so on and so forth, right? Stealing. Let's take the 3 examples. Murder, rape, and stealing. God on earth, he comes here and he says, I am not going to do any implementation of punishment. That's not my job. That's not my role. That's not my mission. What he's going to do? He's going to let them go and say, you know what? You punish them according to your secular laws, not my laws. Does that make sense? Would it make sense if God was to do things like that?
Yeah, but ultimately secular laws...
No, think about it. God on earth, imagine now God on earth, right? There's God over there on earth.
But I don't believe that...
No. Just to understand the scenario that Christians are bringing. Yeah. God is over there. Everyone knows he's God, let's say for the sake of argument, and people are stealing, raping, killing people, right? Now, these criminals, what's going to happen to them? God on earth doesn't do anything. In fact, people then, instead of going to God, what I'm going to do? Are you going to punish them or not? God, without any information from God, they go to Caesar. They go to this leader, that king. Would that make any sense?
My kingdom is on this earth.
Would that make any sense?
But I think it could make sense.
I have a question for you.
Can we take that question if you don't mind?
Okay.
All right. She's not a heckler. Not on my list.
I don't know much about Muhammad, but so Muhammad, if he was on earth and somebody did something, Muhammad would punish them?
Not himself. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam being, when he was a state leader, there would have been a system of governance, laws and for punishment and crime. And based on that, being a statesperson...
But Muhammad wouldn't punish them.
No. I'm answering. Not individually, because he has established a state in which there will be a judge. There will be a judge in which the crime will be established, and then the punishment on an established criminal will be implemented.
But don't you think that's the same in Christianity? Because they have I'm non-religious, by the way. Used to be a Catholic, so, but so we have the 10 Commandments that we shouldn't do these things, so don't you think it's a similar thing?
It's not similar. I would wish it was like that, but it's not in practical level. So the practical level, if someone now commits adultery,
right,
having sexual relations outside marriage,
right,
Christianity does not offer a punishment for this criminal behavior.
But okay, so let's just say right here in England.
On this slide.
Let's just say right here in England, and a woman, a Muslim woman commits adultery. You're going to stone her to death in England?
No, I'm not asking for what punishment.
think so.
I'm saying, according to the law of God, how does the law of God take care of instability in a society?
How are you going to do that here?
No, it's not me in
I'm
mine.
asking you a question. I mean,
The answer is this.
Yes.
Christianity does not offer a solution.
But neither does the Muslim religion.
We have a solution. No, in England, Muslims are not in power. Muslims-
I'm truthfully curious. I really am.
Muslims are not in power in a legislative sense in England,
Right.
where they do not implement the Islamic law
Right.
and implement crime and
There is
punishment
a
system.
little bit of Islamic
No,
law here. A little
not in the legislative body.
But
This country is not run by Sharia law.
Yes.
So because of the absence of the Sharia law, Muslims cannot expect the adulteress to be punished in the Islamic way because it's not run by Islamic law. It's a secular country. But if you have a country in which they implement Islamic law, they can implement the punishment to an adulteress. So the question we were talking about,
Do you think in this day and age now that most Muslim men, I don't know how many are here, would want a woman to be stoned to death?
the question is not about the modality of punishment. The question is about whether there is a punishment and can it be implemented to stabilize the society. Islam as a holistic, to give you an example, can I, and then I'll come back to Camille. Okay. Islam gives a system of, for example, you cannot steal because stealing is taking away the rights of another person.
Right.
And stealing carries, after it's established that this person didn't have a need to steal and it was secured under lock and key and he broke or she broke that lock and key and stole it. It wasn't like hanging off £1 million in the back pocket and walking in the public. It wasn't like that. It was from a safe, locked under lock and key, and it was all the security measures. The one who stole, he was not a billionaire with no need. He was not someone who was like a poor person with a need and so on and so forth, right? All of that things, and once crime is established, this person will be punished by cutting off the hands.
Right.
Now, if it is established that this person stole a bread from a supermarket because they were dying of starvation, no food, no one offered, no neighbor offered food for him to live, no state as a body gave him this food, the punishment of cutting the hands would not be applicable, cannot be applied. Anyone disagree? Anyone disagree? Raise your hands.
Probably can.
Look around.
Actually.
Okay, how many Muslims are there? Raise your hands.
How many what?
Muslims.
Oh.
And how many of you disagreed? No one. Why? Because he's not a Muslim. So now, as you realize, there are conditions. You can ignore him, he's a heckler.
How would you know if it was true?
There are conditions.
12.
I'm trying to answer you, but he's distracting.
So
So there are conditions which needs to be met before punishment is implemented. But the fact of the matter is, when the system of governance is in place, it cannot be only crime and punishment, it has to be holistic. Education system, social system, moral system, all of that. Because people need to be educated that stealing is wrong. You cannot punish someone without telling them stealing is wrong.
But don't we as a society, I mean, given religion different, everybody knows you shouldn't steal,
But
whether you're religious or not
but the issue is not everyone steals.
Right.
So those who steal, we need to deal with them to prevent them from stealing your money, your house, your jewelry. We need to stop doing that because you have your right of your own property. That should not be.
You don't think the laws of the land are enough?
They're not sufficient. That's why Islam has a complete solution. So if you turn to Camille. So the example I've given you demonstrates Christianity of today doesn't have the foundational principles of being a universal religion.
Let's come back to the specific prescriptions of the religion, maybe in the future discussion. But I wanted to come back actually to a completely different topic.
Sure.
link. This is the, you know. It's allowed. Stay in the Quran.
All right.
Okay, everyone, pay attention.
All right, back on track. Back on
Pay attention, everyone, to Camille.
I just started.
Carry on going.
Defining legends, bro.
Carry on going.
Brother, don't speak to a heckler.
Hey, stay where you are, my dude. Right up. Go ahead, do your thing.
Thank you, Camille. I was waiting for that.
About time you implemented the law.
All right. Anyways, so the thing I'm actually interested in right now is like the evidence for Islam, right? So we talked about last time. We talked about the prophecies, the miracles, and we talked about the.
Why aren't there evidence for Islam?
What's that?
Why are they not evidence for Islam?
Yeah. So one you said.
Take care.
So I mean.
Before you go, sorry, before you go. Just 1 second,
Yeah,
sorry. We would, from the bottom of our heart, invite you to look into Islam and accept Islam, become a Muslim, which is surrendering yourself to the will of God.
I don't believe in any religion.
No, it's not about religion. It's about knowing the one who created you and thanking and being grateful to that creator. Because you and I know I did not create the universe.
Right,
Neither did you. So it's to be thankful and grateful to that creator of ours. And we say this is the one who is worthy of our worship.
Well, I'm interested in all religions, to
Yeah.
be honest.
So
I'm
this is
totally out,
so
you
the
know.
one who's
I'm
worthy
open
of
to
our
everything.
worship. The one who's worthy of our worship is the one that we are asking you to embrace him and follow the law and the will and the guidance to that, and that is Islam. If you didn't know much about it, I'm sure my friends and my brothers and sisters are more than willing to explain to you because I'm engaged here, not engaged in the sense, but in a conversation.
Come back next Sunday and see what
And
you're
we can have a
talking
talk discussion. But please speak to my brothers and my sisters over there. Right?
Bye.
You take care. Until then.
So I would like to say, by the way, thank you for your time. Thank you for taking that time with me. I really appreciate it. And despite all of the heckling
okay.
going on, it's an enjoyable discussion for me at least. I'm doing that genuinely in the spirit of truth. I'm not here to cut anyone down. I'm just really interested in what you've got to say. I will push back if I don't, if what I think you're saying doesn't make sense to me. But
Would you be interested if you didn't have any counter back?
Yeah, exactly.
If you agreed with everything, you would be Muslims by all then. But at the end of the day, we would like you to become a Muslim, and that's why I'm willing to take your pushbacks and try to answer them as you go along.
All right, so I wanted to come back to prophecies, as in the actual kind of evidence for Islam.
Yeah.
If you take away the prescriptions and stuff like that. So there's, prophecies and miracles don't really speak to me in general. Like I think, and that also applies to biblical miracles, by the way.
Okay.
Like I don't think that those are particularly.
Sure.
I don't really resonate with that. But just for sake of argument, one point that you mentioned last time, you mentioned this book of 500 miracles that the Prophet did.
I said 300 miracles. Yeah.
300, sorry. But the Quran itself states, I think, several times that there were no signs given to Muhammad.
No, this is what we explained before as well. This is what the Quranic picture of what a miracle is. Anytime miracle is sent, people in their habitual nature, they disbelieve in the miracles. So God says, "Ma mana'aka." Nothing has prevented me from sending miracles except the people of the past disbelieve in them. So in general, God is not willing to provide miracles and miracles to make people believe, because people in their nature, they disbelieve in the miracles. So even when he sends miracles, they keep on disbelieving in it. That's point number one. Point number two, God does not give in to people's demand of miracles. They say, okay, you know what? Give me a mountain of gold, I will believe, for example. He's not going to give in to this kind of miracles because these are silly claims people want to make. Even if because the Quran says, even if there were mountains of gold, stairs going up to heaven, the dead were to speak, they will still not believe. Because belief is not just what they're demanding miracles for as a belief. It's something which is in their heart, the stubbornness and arrogance and pride, and many of their psyche, the ego, that's the problem, not about the evidence. So Quran does not in any way say, oh, Prophet Muhammad was not going to be given any miracles. The Quran says miracles is a matter of time. But it will never be given according to their dictates. And the Quran says that when the miracles are given, the ayat are given, the example I've given you about splitting the moon, وَإِذَا رَأَى, when they see this sign, they say this is a magic, perpetual magic and so on. So miracles were performed by the Prophet. The Quran does not somehow say no, it didn't. The Quran affirms that was the case. But people's reaction is, it's magic. And the Quran reprimands them. Like, what's there for you not to believe? You see it with your own eyes and you disbelieve. So these are the people that really we're going to have a good accountability in the hereafter, because seeing something in front of their eyes which it cannot be accounted for as a natural thing that people do, like magic and things like that. Some people learn this trick. When they could see clearly, if you and I were there and the sea parted by the staff of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Camille, are you going to just say, let me rub my eyes? What am I saying? Am I having some kind of delusions or some narcotic gas? You're not going to see that. You see that on front of your face. This is called Ainul Yaqeen. This is your truth, reality of your own eyes. You saw that in your own eyes.